You ever find yourself just scrolling, clicking, refreshing long after you actually meant to stop? We've all been there. We've all felt that weird compulsive pull of our devices. Well, today, we're going to dig into the science of why it is so incredibly hard to look away and how the digital world is being built on purpose to make you feel that way. So let's just dive right in with a moment that just perfectly paints this picture. Imagine this: a basketball game, final seconds on the clock. Everything is cranked up to 11. The crowd's roaring, the odds are flashing on the screen, and you have this tiny split-second window to place a bet. The way this whole moment is designed, it doesn't just invite you in, it makes the very idea of pausing to think feel like you're already losing. And look, you don't have to be into sports betting to know exactly what this feels like. It's that countdown timer on an Amazon deal. It's the endless hypnotic scroll on your social media feed. It's the notification that buzzes and you feel like you have to check it right now. It's this feeling of manufactured urgency. And it's basically become the background noise of our digital lives. Now, when we can't fight that pull, what's the first thing we do? We blame ourselves. We think, "Ugh, I'm so weak," or "I just have no discipline." But what if that feeling isn't some kind of personal failure? What if it's actually a symptom of the digital world we're all swimming in?
I mean, that's the story we all tell ourselves, right? I just need more willpower. I should be stronger than this. It's a story that puts all the weight, all the responsibility, right on our own shoulders.
But this is where the research flips the whole script. It asks this really critical question. What if our willpower isn't just failing on its own? What if it's being actively, deliberately worn down by the very architecture of the systems we use every single day? So let's talk about what this architecture of urgency really is. To get it, we need to wrap our heads around a couple of really powerful new ideas that explain exactly how these systems mess with our brains. Okay, first up, there's a new term for the specific kind of damage we're talking about: neurocomputational harm. I know, it sounds super academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's just anything that gets in the way of your brain's natural ability to hit the pause button, to just take a breath before you act. And when that harm is applied over and over and over again, it leads to something called volitional erosion. Seriously, think of it like water dripping on a rock. That constant engineered sense of urgency, drip by drip, slowly wears away your actual ability to make a free choice, until all you have left is impulse. So this is the big shift in perspective. It's moving away from this old idea of a moral feeling and towards a much more accurate picture of environmental design. It's not that your willpower just disappeared. It's that you're trying to run a marathon in an environment that's literally designed to trip you at every single step. Now, to really see how this works in the wild, online sports betting is the perfect, maybe extreme example. These platforms, they're like the Formula One of volitional erosion. They've taken these techniques and refined them into their most powerful, most concentrated form. And they have this whole toolkit to do it. You've got countdown timers creating a totally false sense of urgency. You've got adaptive prompts that pop up at the exact moment you're most vulnerable. You have variable rewards, just like a slot machine, that keep you hooked on that what-if feeling. They even use something called salience engineering, which is just a fancy way of saying they use flashing lights and animations to hijack your attention. And maybe the scariest part, predictive profiling, to learn your personal weak spots and exploit them even better. And check this out. This shows the direct line between a design choice and what it does to your brain. A tactic like flashing odds, that's not just decoration. Its actual cognitive impact is to shove your awareness into the most reactive, impulsive parts of your brain. A countdown timer doesn't just tell time. Its job is to make you feel like stopping to think is a bad move. Okay, now this is the moment we zoom out. Because what was perfected in the digital casino, well, it definitely didn't stay in the casino. These architectural tricks are now absolutely everywhere, shaping almost every part of our digital lives. This one sentence from the research just nails the whole illusion. Reactivity is mistaken for agency. What does that mean? It means we feel like we're in charge. We feel like we're making choices, exercising free will. But in these environments, that feeling of choice is often just an engineered reaction to whatever the system decided to put in front of you. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The endless scroll on Instagram, that's a form of salience engineering. The variable rewards in Candy Crush, same logic as a slot machine. Heck, even some educational ops fall into this trap, gamifying speed and quick reactions instead of deep, thoughtful learning. So, If our digital world is being built to undermine our very ability to think clearly, what in the world do we do? How do we even start to think about protecting ourselves? That's where this conversation has to go. This brings us to a really powerful, maybe even a radical idea: cognitive sovereignty. It's the idea that we have a fundamental right to be in charge of our own minds, a right to control our own attention, our own motivation, and maybe most importantly, a right to just pause and think. And this is so important. It's different from privacy. We talk about privacy all the time, right? And that's usually about protecting our data from being seen. But cognitive sovereignty goes a huge step further. It's about protecting our minds from being actively changed and manipulated by the systems we're using. The stakes here are just incredibly high. This isn't just about feeling less distracted. The ability to pause, to reflect, to really deliberate, that is the bedrock of good decision-making, for ourselves and for us as a society. It's not a luxury, it's the essential infrastructure for a free and thinking world. And so that leaves us with the critical question that we all have to start asking ourselves. In a world that is being built brick by brick to reward instant reaction and to punish thoughtful delay, how do we, as individuals and as a society, protect our fundamental right to simply think?